All right, so you've seen this guy before, and I have shown him on the YouTube channel back in last September. If you recall, I was in Guomao district, and I was out with some friends, and one of them was playing a show. And that guy is him. All right, so I'll let him do the talking because this is his place, and let's see what he has to say.
Everyone, I'm Brad M. Seipple. I go by the name thruoutin, and this is my studio, Brevity of Motion Sounds.
So Brad has been in Beijing for quite a while. He didn't start in Beijing, but we are now in his studio that looks something like this, and he's agreed to give us a little bit of a tour and tell us about an instrument that he plays, but we'll get to that in a fast moment. Brad, WTF, there's a lot of equipment here. I know we've talked about recording before. You're a bit of an audio enthusiast. What is all this stuff?
All right, so this is what I call the control room, and it's where a lot of the production, composition is made. But basically, there are two rooms here, and this is the control room. That room over there is the recording room. And what I do here is I can use the laptop as the main brain of the operation. It is linked to the interfaces over here that takes in audio. And then there's also over here, this one is a preamp, and I have a few kind of things like this. This takes in the signal from when I record. And then we have monitoring in two ways. You have the visual monitoring from monitors. So I can put my mixer up here at the top of this big screen. In the middle, I can have my DAW. And then hearing monitoring would be through my speakers here. So I have a big set of larger three-way monitors and a smaller set of two-way monitors. And that just gives me a few options on how to listen to the audio that I'm recording.
What is this?
This is a bit of a gag, just a fake spilled cup to let people know to keep liquids off the consoles.
Have you ever had someone spill liquid on a console before?
Yes, I have. So
how much damage did it cost?
New computer. Yeah.
So. Ouch. All right. Duly noted.
So here I'm just going through a live session of different pads I use for ambient music. So here we have different clips that I can engage when I play live.
How many clips are there?
This is a relatively small session, maybe a few 20, but I usually will go up to 100 plus in some live sessions.
And what is this thing doing down here?
This is an editing software called RX. And in this one, I'm editing some field recordings. This is a hydrophone. So this is a recording taken inside water. And I'm going through and editing any type of unnecessary sounds in it.
All right, that's all kind of cool and good, but you said there's a second room over there.
There's a second room. So we're leaving the control room now, going into the recording room.
All right, and what is this?
This is where if I need to record any type of physical instrument or singer, I usually do it in here. Right now we have it set up for recording drums.
Mm-hmm.
We usually have a lot more microphones in here, but today it's more of like a practice setup. So this is the drum area. Over here, you can see it's a bit chaotic, but we have different string instruments, bass, guitar, pipa, and I also use an actual guitar amp. In addition, sometimes to some software amps, emulators, but I like the sound of the nice real guitar amp. And
how often do you use that?
I will use this usually when I have a band, so maybe once a month. I use this one, and sometimes for my own music.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a Vox AC30. It's kind of a classic British style amplifier. So I like to have the option.
What is this box over here?
This box here is a bass guitar, but inside here is one of my sexier things, and it's just where I keep all my microphones. So in each of these bags is a microphone. They have different uses. Here is a microphone that I use for vocals and kick drum. So I just have all of these have microphones in them, and they all have different purposes.
That is a lot of microphones. How many microphones do you have?
Probably around 20. that I use regularly.
What do you mean by regularly?
There are some that are less common, but you know, in case I need to do a specialty sound, I might use it. But yeah, just for a drum set, I have around 10 microphones, depending on what I'm recording. For vocals, I might record different things. You know, all the mics also have different, you know, uses. Here is a type of pencil style microphone. These are really good for recording overheads on drums. They're good for recording acoustic guitar, but not so great for recording vocals. So every mic has its own use, but you don't need expensive mics to make things sound good. They just, there's better tools for the job sometimes, and it's about how you use them. You can use a super expensive microphone and place it in the wrong place, and it will sound terrible.
What would you say is your favorite microphone?
It depends. I like probably my Telefunken TF29.
What does that do?
I use it for vocals. It's really bright, and they call it, say, musical mic. It's good. It's really great for capturing human voice, and also like room of the. You know, I might use it for the room of the drum set, or you know, something like that. So that's a microphone I like a lot.
Can I try the drums?
Yeah, sure.
See, I haven't played drums in a while, and I can't say, as we were talking before, can't say it really inspires me. Yeah, I can't say that I really enjoy playing the drums anymore. I mean, I used to play them quite a bit when I was growing up in my formative years, but thank you, Brad, for letting me play them.
Yeah, of course.
But I'll tell you, it's a physically demanding instrument, and I don't know, just using the iPads and keyboards and stuff like that, and computer-based instruments just makes it so much easier. Not always cheaper, but a lot more flexible, a lot more dynamic. Which do you prefer, the acoustic or the digital?
I prefer the acoustic instrument for the sound, the timbre and everything, but it's a lot more complex, and sometimes you don't have a lot of time. And nowadays we have so many software-based drums that can sound great and help you get that idea out a lot quicker. So there's no real silver bullet, but if you're limited, a digital reproduction of a drum set is sometimes better.
Now, would you say that the computers could replace human-made music? Like a drummer, like you don't need a drummer anymore. You could use MIDI or a keyboard.
Yeah, it's just about what kind of sound and feel you want.
Okay. So that's all great and cool, but this drum set, kind of loud. How do the neighbors not hear you?
Well, you have to kind of build a room within a room when you make a music studio. So
what do you mean there's a room inside of a room?
This room that we're in is actually inside of the original shell of this room, and there's insulation about half a meter around the whole thing.
Half a meter of thickness?
Of thickness, yeah. So,
so how big is the apartment before?
Is it, well, you kind of get like a third of it out by just the insulation, and that's bottom and ceiling, floor and ceiling.
So the floor has been insulated, ceiling, everything is insulated.
Yeah, I guess just to keep out sound, but sometimes that helps with noisy outside noises from coming in.
Have you ever had complaints about noise from here?
I've never had complaints in this location. I've made the complaints about other people.
Really?
There was a dance studio upstairs, and sometimes if I was doing really quiet narration, I could hear them dancing, which was not going to work for what I needed to do. But most of the time, I have no problem with sound, like complaints or anything.
Did you do it yourself?
I had help with a contractor. I don't have all the tools and skills, but the design, was done with a contractor, and yeah.
So then your Chinese must be pretty good.
It's all right.
Like HSK 3, 4, 5, 6, 7?
I would say I'm closer to like high 4.
High 4. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good solid foreigner expat language level, I guess.
Mhm.
I have to ask, how much did it cost? Like, did you do it you didn't do it yourself. You got some contractors to come in. You're practicing your Chinese, so it's kind of like a pay you pay a teacher to come in and help you set up a studio. How much?
Well, with this kind of studio, depending how big, you're going to be budgeting just for renovation around 50 to 100,000 RMB, somewhere in there.
Divide by 5, you get 20,000 Canadian. Divide by 7, you get the American dollar.
Right. So it's not a necessary thing, but if you want to have a professional studio, you do need to treat the room. You need to keep in mind things like reflection and reverberation. And in the room, it's all very important. But
is that what that stuff is?
Well, yeah. If you look around, you might see different things on the walls. Just kind of depending on where the sound's going, you can use two kinds of ways to soundproof or treat a room. This one here is called a reflector, and it's all very uneven. So any type of sound will probably not come back to the source once it reflects off the wall. This is a reflector, and then up here, this looks like a chunk of carpet or something, but it has insulation in the middle, so it's a fabric. This is an absorber. So when sound comes to it, it goes and takes it. It doesn't send anything back. The combination of these two types of things helps to give a very dry or dead room, which if you're going to be adding effects and mixing in post, you really want something that's very quiet. And that's one of the reasons for designing the room how it is.
We've known each other for a while, and I think the last time we saw each other was in your September show when you were playing the electric pipa, which I see that you have right over there. Can we see this?
Yeah,
can we hear it?
I actually have a couple of pipas prepared, so we can go through them.
All right, check it out.
Yeah.
Explain what we've got here.
All right, so these are pipas, or Chinese lute, as they're called sometimes, and there are 3 here. 1, 2, 3. And they might look slightly different than what you might expect a pipa to look like.
Let's go through them. You have so many of them.
All right, so this is your typical Chinese lute or pipa. It's got a kind of spoon-shaped body, bamboo fretboard, usually some sort of maple or mahogany, depends on the wood, neck, and then you have a lot of times these wooden pegs. These are tuning pegs. It is a 4-string instrument, and it is tuned typically A, D, E, A. So you play sometimes with these finger picks. This traditionally play with a finger pick that will go around your finger. I don't really have that habit because I'm a bass player, so I don't really like to use picks. But one cool feature of the pipa is you can kind of get this low drony note in A, and then you can go up different scales and play on it and get like that. But you can also do chords, and you can do major chords. That was a minor chord before that. A really cool, unique part of this instrument is the tremolo playing style. In Chinese, it's called lunzhi, which means like a wheel finger. And you see a lot of professional players make a circle in their hand, and then they'll come out each finger and do a movement like this. Now it's supposed to be very quick, like a brum, and I'm not so good at that. But what I do is I use a bass playing technique of using 16th or 32nd notes, and I try to emulate it. Which it's not as nice sounding, but that's kind of how I've developed with the instrument. This is your traditional acoustic pipa.
How much did that one cost?
You can get ones cheaper. This is probably around 3,000 RMB.
So it's a proper pipa.
Yeah. This is considered cheap. You can get them, I think my first pipa was around 600 RMB, which is for students great. And they can go up a lot more with any professional instrument. They can go up quite a lot more expensive than that.
Now you have 2 more. Why do you have so many?
Okay, so I got to explain first what this red thing is here. This is a contact microphone. So when I go to play a show before, I wanted to electrify it, I can plug in a guitar cable here, and this will pick up the body of the pipa. It's just, for my taste, not very good sounding. And I have been trying to find out how I can make the pipa electrified through the last, 10 years. So this was my first attempt. This is also an acoustic pipa like this, but the body has quite a lot of different things on it. There's a lot of cables, so I'll explain, what exactly is going on. This started its life out as an acoustic pipa. A friend of mine was getting rid of it, like maybe about 300 RMB. And so what I did is I contacted a really good friend of mine who makes electronic instruments, named Meng Qi. Now, Meng Qi and I had the idea to first put a pair of contact microphones underneath the bridge. So those go into this this plug here. So I can plug this into anything, a guitar amp or a type of pedal. So that worked for a little while. And then we decided to add a humbucker style guitar pickup. So that is controlled by this volume knob here. So I can have sound coming from just the body here, two contacts here, and then I can blend in the sound of the guitar pickup. So this gives me some better blend and option for making it sound louder in a system. Now you might be curious about what these PCBs are doing. These are to kind of generate noise. So this is a box that Meng Qi has made that by joining your hands, it can make certain frequencies louder or more noisy.
Can we see it on the screen? No.
Yeah. So it is
there we go.
it is 12 over there. And I can turn it up a little bit.
Who is Meng Qi? What is Meng Qi?
So Meng Qi is a Chinese synth maker, a professor, a instrument designer, and he does lots of different instruments. He designed this thing called a crackle box.
Okay.
And it basically has different signals you can create with your hand that creates noise. You hear the noise going through now.
Right.
These wires, we soldered them to a PCB over here, which makes a connection, and then also through the strings. So when you're playing, you get like a bit of a noisier, unpredictable thing going on. And that's all that this really does. So another important thing about this is I'm using metallic strings. And instead of using the pegs to tune it, I've installed ukulele tuners.
Why did you do that?
I always felt like the wooden tuners got out of tune a lot easier. So this helped me like kind of get in a little bit better with keeping things in tune. So then when you play it, you still have all the sounds like this one has. Still full scale of a pipa, but more of a metallic electric sound. And I really like it because every once in a while this little crackle bog makes it will just make some strange noises. And it just kind of depends on how you're setting up your hands on this.
How dexterous do you have to be with your hands to play this thing?
Just with any other string instrument, you can do a full hand thing. It helps if you have played a guitar or bass before in the future. The pros are very dexterous.
In the
future. In the past. But yeah, this is the it's a pipa made by my friend Meng Qi, so it's called the Meng Pipa.
I see. There you go.
So that's this one, and there's another version that I use. That's kind of the next step up from this, and as far as like how I've tried to use the pipa in my own work. Let's make sure we have sound.
So when would you use that effect?
I don't know. A lot of times if I'm doing a noise set, you know, this one might just, I could play some melodic stuff, but also have noise at the same time.
Okay. I'm guessing you like the noise sort of background sound.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what you want. If you want something nice and clean and not piercing to the ears, you can actually turn it off. But sometimes you can have it on too. It depends on what kind of sound you're wanting to go with. And our next one is a pure electric pipa.
Oh,
so
wow.
I need to kind of explain what's going on with it.
Is this the one that you were using in Guomao outside of Blue Frog
yeah.
back in September? Okay.
So you can already see that the body's quite different. The spoon body has been shaved off for, you know, coming in, you know, really high on the neck, a little bit easier. You also have a way to hold it here. This wood is bamboo here, but then a wood from Mali, like a cherry from Mali. I forget the exact type of wood, but I came up with the idea and had it further made with a luthier in Shanghai, Wang Yango. He's a guy who's done a lot of more traditional style pipas, but he and I kind of came up with this one. And
how did you find someone that would make a pipa for you?
A friend of a friend kind of things.
Okay.
There are other people who have electric pipas, so you know, just kind of a lot of talking about.
Oh, right. So this isn't just like a foreigner coming to China and changing things.
No, I had a lot of help, and this is not my original idea. This is something that I just worked and tweaked with someone to do. But a couple of those tweaks are that I wanted to have a pickup, because the Electrifying the Pipa was very important. So having the pickup here is something that was really important in doing. Moving up, moving over, you have a gain and a tone knob. So you can kind of set in, and a lot of times when I don't want any sound to come out, I can turn it off completely, which is helpful in some performances. In the back here is where the instrument can be plugged in.
Okay.
So it doesn't really interfere with the front too much. And this is a place where you can put a battery to make it an active. There's two types of guitar pickups, active and passive. And this one, we decided we want to do an active.
What would be the difference with the passive?
The difference is about how the instrument is powered, and about, you know, how much you can look into active and passive, but a lot of higher end basses and guitars will have the option of being active. And it can do a lot of different things. I find out with the active, you have less noise through the pickups, but not always no noise.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So another thing here is a strap. So this can actually be worn. I prefer to sit, but sometimes
because these ones don't have straps.
They don't have straps.
Right on.
So even when you sit, it kind of, you can have hands free.
Yeah.
When you stand, it kind of goes over a little bit, and it can be played more like a guitar. But you know, if you have the habit of sitting while you play, you can still do that. So, give me a moment to figure out where our sound's coming from. Okay, and let me turn the other pipas off. So you can hear the noise from the Hmong pipa still coming through. Now we're listening to just the electric pipa. And I should play the dry signal. Why do I say dry signal? Because I run it into a couple of guitar pedals. For me, the very most important pedal is a tuner. I can use these tuning pegs up here at the top to dial in the exact note that I want it to play. And this is helpful for electronic music, because I can really get into the same note I was using in like the synth or the electric bass part. That then runs into a reverb, which adds some roomy sound, some depth to it. And I think with ambient music especially, a dry pipa signal kind of, for me, just doesn't really fit on top. So I like to add a little bit of space, and that's why I use the reverb. And then next I have a delay pedal, which is stereo. so I can send it out to 2 different channels and get a real nice, delayed sound on each sound. So on each pluck, it's like really customizable.
So how many pedals are you using with a traditional Chinese instrument?
I'm currently using 3, but I've scaled that down. I used to have a lot more things in there, but I feel like I only really need these to add a little bit of space, and I don't need so many effects. But you could do anything, any effect pedal that you like, you could put into this because it has the guitar capabilities. So I don't know, just when I play, if I want a very wide sound, affected sound, I can use this and go through. So this is the electric pipa, an e-pipa, some people call it. And for me, it has the best parts of all these other iterations, because I can have something that's a little lighter. I can have something that's still electrified, and it still is a pipa scale. So it is not an electric guitar. A lot of people will say this is just an electric guitar in a pipa's body.
Okay.
But the scale, the body, the way the steps are set up is still the same as a traditional pipa. The tuning's still the same. However, it's not a traditional pipa in the sense that you get a lot of that body sound. So if you knock on a pipa like this, there's a lot of reverberation from the wood. The same instrument, you don't get too much body sound.
Nothing.
Almost nothing, which is great if you're trying to reduce body noise when you're playing other instruments. You can totally turn the pipa off and bypass it a couple ways, through these knobs or through this tuner.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, for me, it's just that you have a lot more control and there's a lot more things you can add to it. But they're all very different in the playing style. But for electronic music, I really prefer to use this e-pipa, and I feel like I can kind of make it fit better with the music that way.
So when you're saying electronic music, what are you doing?
Well, so this is one part of the music that I do. Another part is electronic music production. So I use things like sampling and synthesizers, drum machines, and I use those all together in a software called Ableton Live.
Okay.
So basically, I can control all the different elements of the music, but then I can also perform it live. So I can play the pipa. People can see that it's a live instrument's being played, but I have more control of how I bring in my drums, percussion, my low frequency subs, and my pads and leads and stuff. So
would you ever play in a band?
I have played in a band, and in a lot of ways, this way is kind of, you are the band leader and you're composing as you go with looping and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But yes, I have played in bands, but this is kind of how I do my solo project is with this controller that allows me to bring in and out different elements.
Yeah. Can we get a performance?
Yeah. So this is our dry sound, our reverb.
Have you seen anybody else play these instruments or any other modified instruments?
Well, sure. There's plenty of people who have used pipa or electrified it. The earliest documentation is some videos I've seen on like Billy and stuff of a guy named Yoda Hai, this is black and white era, so it's really far back.
67 years. So.
Yeah, but I don't think they were really using it just, you know, to be something like a electronic piece. It was more so to do an electric version of a traditional instrument. There are other people like Wu Man, and she's one of the top pipa players in the world. She is also credited for having, you know, done an electric pipa before and performed with that. But there are also people that, like myself, have come from a Western background. There's another American named Justin Scholar. His artist name is Ukes, and he plays electric guzheng and he electrifies flutes, but he also plays the pipa as well. And most notably, there's a foreigner named Li Daiguo from United States, and he's lived in China for a little bit longer than I have, but a professionally trained pipa player. And he takes the acoustic pipa and he'll do it in, you know, just a very experimental way. And all of the people I've mentioned are people that I've kind of researched and looked into to see what their approach is with this, because everyone's approach is a bit different, and that influences me on how you know, I want to play and utilize this instrument in my own music.
So Li Dai Chi?
Li Daiguo.
Li Daiguo. So you said he's a American.
Right. Li Daiguo he's an American citizen, but has lived in the country in China for a long time. He's of Chinese descent.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does someone become like a professional pipa player?
It starts at a very young age. So you're usually learning around 4 years of age and up, anywhere from like 12, and you know, you're studying that instrument quite intensely. A lot of people will go to the academies and professionally train in like a university setting. And
have you taken any formal training at all?
No, I haven't, but I'm very open to it.
Okay. What stops you from doing it right now, sort of thing?
You just, you know, life, you get caught up in different things, and I'm self-taught on pretty much everything I do. So the pipa has always been like something that I'm also teaching myself, but I will say that it helps to get you know, a teacher, and I can see where my faults are on it. So that is a plan in the future. Something I'd like to do is get more formal training and just add to what I already know.
Going forward with the pipa, where do you like? Would you take this back to the States, or have you toured with this at all?
I have. I've gone through North America. I've done Southeast Asia, East Asia.
What was the reception like?
It really depends on which place you're in. You know, in places like Korea, people, they understand it. They have their own version of the pipa in Korea. But in the United States, where it's such a foreign looking instrument, people might be kind of curious of what it is. I've gotten people that have said, "Oh, I mean, I really liked the sitar you were playing."
Right.
Which I guess if you come from that background and you've only seen an Asian instrument that's like sitar, you might kind of confuse the two. So the reception's been pretty good. I haven't really received any negative reception about it. So yeah.
Do you have any albums?
I have tons of albums.
About the electric pipa, or
yes,
because you have lots of albums about lots of different styles of music.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that every album has pipa on it, but there are some that are more pipa focused. There's an album called Dots from 2012. That was the first time I used pipa on my record. And then there's you know, kind of an album I put out last year called Broken Bridge, and Broken Bridge has like a lot of the electric pipa on it that was played, you know, recorded and then manipulated. And the e-pipa here has been on another album called Ghost Lineage. There's a song called Amber Mosquito, and I use it in more of a you know, math rock kind of style with electronic music. So
you wouldn't just have an album about based on the electric pipa sound and playing around and sort of thing?
Not completely by itself, and that might be something I do in the future. But I like to incorporate it and blend it with different things, whether it's ambient music, whether it's beats or noise. I like the pipa to not be the focal point, but an accent to it.
When you said you have an album from 2012, have you listened back to it? Like, what's your impression of young Brad playing this instrument?
It's just a different. I mean, it's a different place in my life. It's a lot more vocal based, so I'm singing more, and I'm singing about the sort of things that was going on at that time. So I was fresh to China. I was singing about, you know, failed relationships and this sort of thing, which right now it's like maybe my focus isn't really to have a narrative thing that's so on the nose like vocals. I go back and listen to it. The way I wrote beats were different. I used a lot more sampling then.
Mm-hmm.
And I played the pipa a little more similar to the bass as well in those recordings. So it's really interesting to hear something from 10 years ago and plus that, and just see kind of where your mind and your skill set was at the time.
Mm-hmm. Do you let other people play these instruments?
I have. You're welcome to.
Can I try? I don't play guitar at all, like ever. I'm a percussionist by growing up.
I wouldn't be scared. They're just instruments, and this one's probably the one that you're going to get sound out of the most directly.
Okay, so
this is the the regular acoustic pipa. You can try it out.
The beard is in the way. Don't show the girlfriend. She'll say something. Do you press down on these frets?
Yeah. So how it works is it's not a flat fretboard like on a guitar or bass, but you actually can go in the middle between these two bamboo things.
How would you do that when you're holding the thing?
Well, you can use the back of your thumb to kind of hold the neck, and then you press with I would try the index finger first.
Okay.
Somewhere in the middle, not on the bamboo, but in the middle of the two bamboo frets, and then pluck it. There you go.
So what's the difference between being on the bamboo and off the bamboo? Is there?
Oh, you'll get a tonal difference for sure.
Right.
In the middle is a less interrupted note, so it won't have as much friction on it, so it'll ring out longer.
Yeah, there you go. That's open, and that would be a more closed note, I guess.
Yeah.
And how you put these on your fingers, or how do those?
These go on the fingers, and the pipa by itself with just the pads of your finger, it's a little softer in sound. It's a little more dull.
Okay.
But if you're using the back of your nail, it's a sharper sound. But our nails, they break, they get brittle, they will hurt. So what these are made for is to wrap around your finger, and they're a false nail. They're finger pick.
Right.
And they make the sound louder, but also I think it's a sharper sound too.
How do you put those on?
So this one is for the thumb, and I'll put it on my
right hand. I thought they were attached to it. You kept it attached to it.
Yeah. I'll put this on my my own hand so you can see what it's like. But they kind of just go around, and this sticker is kind of like a Band-Aid kind of more of a stronger Band-Aid feeling thing.
Oh, I see.
And it goes around. You put it on all of your fingers.
Yeah. And
this one is for the thumb, and it works really well for making a louder sound compared to
right.
And you would want to make sure that the adhesive sticks on a little bit better. But this feels very foreign to me. Mm-hmm. Whenever I play with them all on my hand, I just feel like I have less freedom on what I'm doing. So that's why I choose to play with my hands. But
do any professional pipa players play barehanded?
I think most professional pipa players play with the finger picks because that's how they learn.
Right.
But it's just for me, I'm just not as skilled on using picks. I feel like the hand is more direct. The only problem with using your hands is the softer sound.
Yeah. And
the picks add more volume, and they have a greater high-end kind of pitch to them, higher like harshness, if you will. So anyway, I just that's just personal preference. That's why I'll use these sometimes when I'm rehearsing, but live I'll usually use my hands, fingers.
Can you play "Come as You Are" by Nirvana?
I still I don't
even know what the tone is anymore. Dun, 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 dun. I have no idea. Interesting. Do you ever do multiple frettings?
You can do chords. Yeah. Basically, any two notes at the same time is a chord. So you can do 3 up to 4 chords, 4 notes at the same time.
All on the same string, or
usually different strings. So, yeah.
There's my percussion knowledge, all on the same string. I can't imagine.
Yeah. One kind of confusing thing for guitarists is you have these hand shapes on chords that you use for guitar and to an extent bass. The way that this is tuned, those hand shapes don't make the same sound. So your, let's say, G chord on a guitar, if you put your hands in the same place, it will sound completely different.
Make it different.
Because the tuning is a different tuning. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't play strings. It's never been something I've been able to do. Interesting. How long does it take to learn to play one of these?
I'm still learning, and I've been playing.
Oh, that's an easy response. I mean,
but I would
the kids, because if you see a kid playing this who's been schooled in it, I mean, at what age do they sound like a proper musician?
I'd say, it could happen in a year. It depends on how much you're practicing. Mm-hmm. But a 4-year-old might not really start sounding good until they're 6 or 7 years old, where they go into competitions. Mm-hmm. It's completely individual based because it really depends on how much you put into it, and if you're competing, if you're learning traditional songs, that I think that's when you start to consider that you play the instrument.
Have you just thought of just going into these competitions?
No, I haven't. It's never been a focus of mine to play traditionally. And I think it breaks a lot of people's brains is when they see the pipa, they want to hear it. They want to hear the classics, they want to hear the traditional songs. And that's just from the start a goal of mine. But there's a lot of techniques that you can pick up through that. So I've always been open, and that's why I mentioned having a teacher is really important. And at some point, I hope to explore the techniques to make what I do now just even better. But my goal was never to be a pipa master, as a lot of people will incorrectly say. You have a pipa, so you're a musician, you're a master. It's not the case at all. I'm still very much a baby at this instrument, and I think it takes a long time.
So if you got a teacher, I mean, would you continue playing the way that you're playing now with this electronic music, or would you transition into classical? Would you have to transition to classical?
Well, the whole point of getting the teacher would be to learn the correct ways to do things. So my playing style.
Are you saying you're doing it incorrectly now?
Oh, completely. I'm using the pipa in a really experimental way. I'm using the bass playing technique. I'm doing a lot of sampling and cutting up of the instrument. I'm affecting the instrument. I would love to unlearn a lot of things that I've picked up and learn about how to properly hold the instrument, how to read the two different styles of written music that accompany a lot of these traditional songs, and basically just pull from that and try to reintroduce it. That'd be an interesting way to keep exploring the instrument for me.
What's been the Chinese reaction to seeing you as a foreigner playing the pipa, especially electrified?
I would say most Chinese people I've met that come up to talk to me are really very interested. You get the kinds of people that would want to hear a traditional song and ask if you can, do it. How long have you played? And there's other people that are just generally curious as, how you came to that path to want to learn pipa. One thing that I have noticed that I kind of have debunked with my own research is a lot of people come up to me and say, this pipa is for girls. It's a woman's instrument.
Oh, right.
And in a lot of modern depictions of the instrument, a lot of ancient paintings of the instrument, it is played by women. But the instrument itself has no gender type of pivot. It's how you play it. But that's one thing that a lot of people assume with the instrument, that it's a woman's instrument. Maybe how harp or something like piano could be looked at as a woman's instrument in the West. But that's one thing that when I was first starting to learn the pipa, they said, "Why do you want to learn pipa? It's for girls."
What would be a man's instrument in China?
Oh, that's a good question.
The erhu, probably.
Erhu, you do see a lot of people play the erhu, the sanxian, a lot of these guqin, which is another stringed instrument. But yeah, you do kind of get that sometimes. So the reaction of most Chinese people is more curious than anything else.
You going to learn any other instruments?
I would love to, having the time. I do love the guqin and the guzheng as well. Pretty much anything stringed is going to be a stringed instrument, a plucked instrument, a bowed instrument. They're all very attractive to me because my background is in bass guitar, so I can jump into it a lot quicker than, let's say, a wind instrument. I can't really play any other wind instrument, so that'd be a big jump for me. But things with strings, I feel like I can figure it out.
Mm. I guess we haven't talked about how you came to China. Did you come to China to play the pipa?
No. I came to China, with a thought of wanting to absorb some of the culture here, but I didn't know too much about the instruments. I kind of figured that out in my first year. Mm-hmm. For 6 months, I would go to music stores, and I was teaching English, and just wanted to do music on the side. And I went to a music shop and played a bunch of different instruments. And when I picked up the pipa, I was like, oh, 4 strings. Okay, that's like a bass, checks off. And, it's small enough to where if I needed to go fly home or wherever, I can put it in a case and bring it. So the pipa just was kind of an experiment at first. And I don't really know when the experiment's over.
What was that in Beijing?
It was in Ningbo.
Okay.
So I lived in Ningbo for a year. And that's kind of where I first got, not this pipa, it was one that's long gone, but I would just play in my apartment. And when I moved to Beijing, I started little by little to incorporate it in my practices. And then I brought it out and started playing it live. And it's been a learning journey on how to perform with the pipa live since then.
All right, so this is the other one, right?
Yeah, one thing I really like about this is the harmonics. So earlier I told you could put your finger in the middle of a fret and get a sound, right? If you put it on the bamboo part, it will sound a little less good. But if you're in the middle, it rings out and you can do this pitch. Now with the pipa, you can also do harmonics. So you put your hand slightly on the string. Mm-hmm. And I think the acoustic pipa is much better for that. But I don't know. I just kind of
We've gone through quite a bit here. I'm looking at heard this pipa. We've heard that pipa as well. We have not heard the black one, but I also see that you have these shoes. What is this?
These are the Brevity of Motion Sound slippers. So when people come in, they want to get a little more comfortable, they can wear them. That's my logo and the name of the studio. Brevity of Motion Sounds, BMS 工作室.
All right. So that's a Brevity of Motion Sound in Beijing. You've been what area are we in?
We're in Dongcheng and Chaoyang's borderline area, right. Technically in Dongcheng.
And what services do you offer for people who are interested in your studio services?
Most of the people come here to record, but also when their songs are finished, they come for mixing and mastering. We also do composition, and we do kinds of interesting stuff like this too.
Okay. Do you sell the slippers?
The slippers are not for sale.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it for taking the time and showing us the pipa today.
Thank you.
And all the best with the recording and the electronic music and the studio as well. I mean, you got quite the setup here. A lot of stuff going on here.
Yeah.
That's good. Fascinating that you can walk down the street and not imagine that there is a studio that's producing an album that people will listen to around the world.
Hopefully, yes.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Cheers. Thanks again.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome, man. Bye.
All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you very much again to Brad for taking the time to sit down and talk about what he does here, his work, and of course, the electric pipa that he's been playing for over a decade right now. All of Brad's contact information will be in the description below, so if you want to get in touch with him for any of the work that he does or to learn about the pipa, you can get in touch with him here in Beijing. And of course, folks, if you enjoyed this, please give this video a like, as it tells the YouTube algo that we're doing something right. Any comments, questions, or concerns, or suggestions, drop in the comments below, and we'll get back to you. Thanks again, folks. We will do this again. Have a good one. Bye-bye.